Brill. I can hear me coming out my computer. Hey everybody, how's it going? I am staring down the barrel of a camera right now. I cannot see you, so please, in the comments, give me a yo to let me know that you are there, down the camera lens. Hey Sam. Just cleaning my glasses. Get some vision going. Still blurry. Yeah, let me know if you can hear the bass as well. Hey Martin. Even looks sunny in Leeds. Martin, it is sunny in Leeds. It's beautiful today. Beautiful. Hey Jan. Or Jan, should I say. Blam's morning from Florida. Well, it's sunny in here in Leeds, but I bet it's sunnier in Florida. Where are all you guys from? Let me know in the comments. Where are you from? Where are you residing? I think that's what they say, isn't it? Where do you reside on planet Earth? It'd be great to know where you all are, and if we've got somebody from somewhere far away. Well, we'll have quite a few of you far away. Hey Scott from Canada. Got stubbed my toe in Ohio. You know what? I've stubbed my toe a few times. My God, it's always surprising at how much that thing freaking hurts. Hey Sam from Joshua Tree. Oh, beautiful. Rog from Oz. Swedish mafias in Italy. Swedish mafia. What? Are you on holiday in Italy? Tony from Australia. Hey, and while we're here as well, obviously I'm going to be talking about jazz today. Yaz, as Ian Allison likes to call it, Yaz. We're going to be talking about jazz today. And it'd be really interesting to hear from you guys in the comments why you want to learn jazz. Like, what have you heard? Is it that you heard somebody saying, hey, the real players, they play jazz? The greatest players, they play. Is it like that kind of thing? Like, what is it about jazz that fascinates you? Or is it that you want to, play solos and you've heard people like Victor Wooten, playing great solos, and you think that jazz is the gateway to do that? It'd be great to hear from you. And Sam's just nailed it on the head. He's like, well, I just like jazz, and that is cool, Sam. But I think that a lot of people are on the fence. In fact, I think that a lot of people don't even understand what jazz is, really. They think it's like somebody, like an old dude singing in the shower, and it's absolutely not that. And for me, jazz is really just a vehicle for improvisation. It's just, everything from the old school guys like the Charlie Parkers all the way through to, the Alan Holdsworth, right? Sort of like crazy, talented guitar player who was actually born not so far from here. And, both of those are jazz. And the commonality between those two things is that there's improvisation involved in a lot of it. That's kind of the heart of it. It's really that. But just looking at the... hey Mike saying happy to see you playing the precision again. Yeah, dude, like I actually almost pulled out the fretless for this because I thought, well, that's pretty jazz. Yes. But I just stuck on the P bass. If you want to hear a fretless bass later on, just let me know and I'll jump on that as well. But Ivan saying jazz is just the best. Don saying, I like that there are usually no words and the focus is on the music. Yeah, not just walking bass lines. Ralph saying it's about pushing my boundaries. Sam saying having a school jazz band helps. Andy saying jazz makes you explore the outline of every chord. Don saying yes to fretless. I'll get the fretless out. I'll get the fretless out in a bit. But let me just say that, you know, the common thread for me with jazz is is not only that it's improvisational based, right? So, and what do I mean by that? It means that it's improvised. So when I play something like something like that, right? For me, it's actually based in jazz. That's like jazz, where jazz funk comes from. Why is it not just funk? What makes it jazz funk? And for me, it's because there's this really incredible improvisational foundation or heart to it. Means that we're not just playing the written part. We're actually improvising, right? It's not just, I'm not playing, you know, whatever. I'm coming up with my own bass lines on the spot, you know, bass lines, solos, whether it is. So yes, jazz can be it can be walking bass lines, and they are incredible to learn. I'll get into that why in just a second. But it's also just about playing the bass and improvising as you go. So it can be funk, it can be ballads, it can be there's like rock, jazz rock. There's all of these different elements, and really that's the common thread to me, which makes jazz so attractive and special. But the other common thread is that if you think about all of the greatest bassists in history, right? Whether it be like James Jamerson, Carol Kay, Victor Wooten, Pino Palladino, Joe Dart, Jaco Pastorius, Anthony Jackson, Marcus Miller, all of them, the giants of bass. Put some giants of bass in the comments as well while I'm at it. Some giants of bass. The large majority of them have studied jazz. And the reason that they've studied jazz is because it gives you a completely different lens to look through. Yes, Sam B, Thundercat, exactly. Perfect example, Sam. Right, if any of you are fans of Thundercat. Thundercat has studied so much jazz, it'd make your eyes bleed, right? There's all of these, it's the common thread, and the reason what, Flea, right? So, not a flea. I haven't got a flea on me. I've got a dog down there. I'm saying like Flea, the bass player from the Chili Peppers, right? Flea. The common thread is all of these great bass players have studied jazz. And the reason that they've done that is because it gives them a completely new lens to listen to music through, to understand music through, and to play music through, how you interact on your instrument. If I was playing something, like I can be playing something that doesn't sound anything like jazz to you guys, right? So whatever, right? I can be playing any kind of like groove like that. The lens that I'm looking at my bass through, though, is the lens that I learned through studying jazz. And that was predominantly focusing on walking bass lines. I was really, to play jazz, you have to learn walking bass lines. And by learning walking bass lines, it gives you the ability to learn your neck and how to outline chords, which is, hey, just in case you don't know, what we do as bass players, that is our job, to outline the chords, to outline the harmony for the listener. It gives you this incredible skill set to do that like nothing else will. So if you are not like using jazz as a tool to learn music and the bass in a better way, to up-level your skills on the bass, you are literally stealing yourself from being the musician and bass player you want to be. Literally, you are robbing yourself of that, because that's why so many people do that. They focus on jazz for a reason, and it's because it gives you this incredible facility on the instrument. Not only through walking bass lines, but also or chords. You just learn music in a real amazing way. And today I'm going to talk about the 7 essential skills. I'm looking at my notes down here. The 7 essential skills to get started with jazz. But hey, check it out. You might want to grab a pen and paper. I'm going to go fast because I've got 7 to fit in a short amount of time. I want to do this in under an hour. So grab a pen and paper. And also, you know, if you want to grab your bass as well, that would be cool. I'm just looking at the list of, obviously Sam said Thundercat. Obviously we've got Hadrian Thoreau, right? Michael Manring, Paul Chambers, Chris Squire, Sting. +1 on Sting. Paul Jackson. All of these incredible, Stanley Clarke, obviously all of these incredible giants of bass. The common thread, what is it? They all studied jazz. Okay, they used it. And here's the important thing. Even if they have nothing to do with jazz, right? You've never heard them play jazz in your life, right? Even if that is true, they studied jazz to be the musician that they are today, or were if they're not around anymore, right? So it's incredibly important to take this stuff seriously if you are truly serious about getting your bass playing to the next level, because it really is the thing that unlocked it for me. I can remember the exact moment actually when I needed. I was working on a cruise ship as a professional musician, as a professional bass player working on a cruise ship, and honestly felt like I was bluffing it. And one of the passengers set me aside, and he was an incredible pianist, incredible. His family would go with the cruise ship would pull into dock, and his family would go, you know, and visit the country wherever we were, right? They'd go around sort of like these cool islands in the Caribbean. And he would stay on board, and he would sit in the ballroom and practice piano all day because that's what holiday was for him. He wanted to do that. So he was a guest on the cruise ship, and he sat me down and he said, look, the biggest thing that you can do for your playing is get this stuff down. And he just mapped it all out for me, and he was right. And he actually turned out that he was a professor at an incredible music school in New York as well. So it was a cool story to tell. Anyway, so that is why jazz is so important. And hey, just a quick heads up as well, the reason why we're doing this call today, and if you want to go into this after I've gone through all of these, you know, the 7 things, and I'll just say it right now, there are more than 7, but I just didn't want to sort of like take up 3 hours of your time this afternoon. There are more than 7, but if you do go through this call, you enjoy what I'm talking about, and you do want to take that next step, we've actually just launched a brand new program through Scott's Bass Lessons. It's a 6-month program, and I'll just say it right now, it is not like a do-it-yourself online course. It's not a do-it-yourself online course, okay? This is much more like an interactive college class. So it's an interactive college class where you're going to, you know, students will get paired with an SBL coach. You're going to be getting feedback from them one-on-one. So they'll be listening to you, giving you feedback. They'll also be taking you through the curriculum. There's also like a lot of live calls involved. You get access to the 6-month curriculum that I put together for it as well. And just to the cherry on the cake as well is it's got a 60-day money-back guarantee. So you can go through two whole months of the program, getting all of that feedback, working with your SBL coach. And if it doesn't completely rock your world, you can walk away and getting all of your money back. That's how much we believe in this program that we've put together for you guys. So, and I will say as well, there's only 79 spots left. So if you do want to check it out, go over to, I think it's, what is it? SBLJazzLab.com, SBLJazzLab.com, and check it out there. But don't go anywhere yet, because I want to get stuck into this, okay, which is the 7 essential skills to mastering jazz bass. Hey, you might not master it today, but it's going to get you off the on the right foot. So the first one that it really pings me is getting the right tone. So getting the right tone is incredibly important, and it's a real common mistake that people make is I was joking about this with Ian Allison yesterday. He was talking about his first experience in jazz, and he said, and he turned up to jazz band, and he said, and his teacher had told him to play with a pick and play nice and clear, make sure the notes are real nice and crisp, and played back here at the bridge. And he was like, and he said the band director at the time like stopped and was like, what are you doing? Like this is an oral attack, or like, well, Yeah, like get out basically. So you've got to get the right tone. And for me, like I really like P basses, but you don't need a P bass. You can, I think the headline basically is big, fat and round. You want a round, fat, big tone for the most part, right? So on a P bass, what I like to do, you might not have a P bass, I'll show you on another bass in a minute, but on a P bass, I like to, just have a really clear fat tone, and I'm going to roll off the tone a little bit. Not too much, because I don't want it to be too muffled. Bit too much, right? So I'll just keep rolling it back. There you go. So when I'm playing my walking bass lines, okay, it just gives you that real nice vibe. Now and that's for walking bass lines, you want that really nice big fat tone. Now if you want a jazz bass, same thing, you could put it on the neck pickup. I'm looking around for a jazz bass. Well, I've got a jazz bass there, but I'm looking for an example of looking back and forward like this. Oh, so check this out. I'll do this quickly. Let me put this bass down. Oh. Headphones are coming off. So like on a jazz bass, same deal, right? So there we go. So you want to put it on the neck pickup. I'm going to dial down the tone, and you've got this. Okay, but if you were soloing, which is a different vibe, right? For me, I would probably go on bridge pickup. It depends, right? Of course, you can solo with your neck pickup on, and your tone dialed down a bit, whatever, right? So, right? But I kind of like it, and you'll hear like modern players play more like this, where you've got the bridge pickup on, and you've got the tone dialed all the way back. Yeah. Yeah, they'll have that on, which is, I think it's a really great tone. I think it's a really great tone. Love it. Be interested to know from you guys in the comments, which is your favorite tone out of the jazz bass and the P bass. Let's do it right here. Jazz bass versus P bass. Bring it on. Now, so all that to say that you want to get the right tone. You want to get the right tone. Now, the next thing is a bit more, it's a bit more technical. And it's, you want to learn. So number one, select the right tone, and you can do it pretty much on any bass. Basically, headline for me, big, fat and round. Number two is you really want to know and learn chord theory and the numbers system. Does anybody know what chord theory is and the numbers system? Yes or no? Tell me in the comments. Chord theory and the numbers system. I'll show you quickly what it is. And I'll tell you what, while I'm waiting for you to answer that, you might have heard of other people saying 251 or 1625 or 1436251, and it might sound like a phone number to you, right? But okay, Don say no, I'm a noob. Well, Don, this is like incredible. If you don't know the numbers system, it is like Neo when he finds the Matrix, and he starts seeing a completely like different reality. The numbers system is that. It's a different reality for musicians and bass players if you don't know what it is. The essence of this, okay, the essence is that within a major scale, and I know, Don, I'm speaking to you now, even though you're a noob, right? I know you know a major scale. We sang it in school, right? Do, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You've heard that before. Do, a deer, a female deer. Gav. Ray. Right, do, re, mi. So we know that the major scale has got 7 notes. Do, re, mi, fa, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay. Doesn't matter if you don't know how to play it, Don, right? But it's just, if you can sing it, good enough. And what's more important here is that you just understand the concept of this, right? So understanding chord theory and the number system, we've got the major scale, yeah? And so if it was the key of a C major scale, we would be in the key of C major. 7 notes, right? So check this out. Every one of those notes of the major scale has a chord built from it. Every one of them, okay? And the chords sound like this. It'll sound totally normal to you. You're going to hear this and you'll be like, oh, that sounds exactly how I thought it'd sound, right? Check it out. Here's the scale. Here's the chords. Now, you might not know how to play the chords, but you recognize it, right? So, and the chords are major 7. Just stick with me for a minute. I know this sounds technical. Stick with me. Do not click on the cat video over there on the YouTube. Stick with me, okay? So the chords are major 7, minor 7, minor 7, major 7, dominant 7, minor 7, minor 7 flat 5, and then back to normal, right? Now, I only used 4 types of chords there, right? We had 2 major 7s, 3 minor 7s, 1 dominant 7, and a minor 7 flat 5. Only 4 types of chords, right? So here's the key thing. Here's the key thing. Within a key, like the key of C major like this, or any key, okay, within a key like C major like this, those chords always stay in that sequence, right? Major, minor, minor, major, dominant, minor, minor 7 flat 5, major, okay? So check this out, okay? That means you can get these chords, put them in any order, and they're going to sound great. They're going to sound great. And this is how songwriters, write songs. And here it is. You can give the chords numbers. And somebody's probably way ahead of me here. The chord numbers are chord 1, chord 2, chord 3, chord 4, chord 5, chord 6, chord 7, and the octave. So if somebody says a 2, 5, 1, what they're actually saying is, in the key of C major, a 2, chord 2, chord 5, chord 1, 2, 5, 1. Okay? If they say 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, they mean a chord 1, a chord 6, a chord 2, a chord 5, and then back to 1. If they say a 1, 4, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1, they mean this, a 1, 4, 3, 1, 4, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1. Okay? And that's how songwriting works. I could ask you to stick numbers randomly in this. In fact, do it. Everybody write a number 1 to 6. Just 1 to 6. Just trust me. That 7 one's a tricky one. 1 to 6 in the comments right now. 1 to 6. You choose. I'm just going to pick the first 4. And it's going to sound wicked. Prove it to you. Okay, Sam's going with a 3. Matt's going with a 6. David's going with a 2. And Rye's going with a 4. So we've got a 3, 6, 2, 4. So in the key of C major, we've got a 3. We've got a 6. We've got a 2 and a 4. Okay? 3, 6, 2, 4. Put a bit of groove behind it, okay, Tim? 3, 6, 2, 4. Yeah, get it? So 3, 6, 2, 4, Cool, right? Instant song. And then you could, well, I wonder what notes you're going to come up with the melody from. How about C major? Because that's the scale of the key. So this is, what I'm talking about here is, this is chord theory and the number system. It's so important. It will change your life. It will change your life if you know this stuff, and it's not hard. It's just like, and there's no shame in not knowing it either. Like, I had shame about not knowing this stuff when I was younger because I thought it was some sort of like secret sauce that only the greatest musicians knew. And that's absolute BS, right? This is incredible stuff that you should learn. And it will take you no longer than 4 weeks to learn like the basic understanding of chord theory and the number system, so you can get your wrap your head around it. No more than 4 weeks. Otherwise, I will strip naked and I will run around the town hall in Leeds if I'm wrong, okay? Not going to give you my email so you can tell me about that, but just saying, right? So, number 1, select the right tone. Number 2, learn chord theory in the number system. Okay, number 3 is learn how to play walking bass lines. And you'll do this by learning your arpeggios. So if anybody's heard somebody saying, oh, learn your arpeggios, like when I was a young man. When I was younger, my teacher would say, learn your arpeggios. And they never said because and gave me a reason. So I always kind of like was a bit, I dodged it. So it turns out that arpeggios for bass players like you and I is a freaking superpower, because going back to my earlier point, we bass players, we outline chords. That is our job within the band, okay? Guitar players, what do? When they're not shredding, they're playing chords. Yeah. Keys players, when they're not shredding, what do? They play chords, right? They comp. What do bass players do when we're not slapping? Well, we're playing chords. So for instance, if the guitar players, we are going to use the chord tones to create bass lines, okay? And we use arpeggios to do that. Chord tones, meaning the tones from the chord, and arpeggios, same thing, just a different word, okay? Somebody wanted to call it something fancy, so they called it the arpeggio. I just call it chord tones. It makes it easier for my simple mind, okay? So you're going to need to learn your arpeggios, and when you do that, you're going to start playing, ideally, walking bass lines, which are, without a shadow of a doubt, the best way to learn your fingerboard, okay? And what I want you to do when you're, playing your walking bass lines is start simple. Start really, really simple. You could take a really nice jazz standard like Autumn Leaves or something like that, right? And first of all, you could just play, let's say a 1-6-2-5 chord sequence, right? Now we've talked about this already, these numbers, right? That would be a C major to an A minor to a D minor to a G7, okay? C major, if anybody's really nice out there, you could write this for everybody in the comments, please, okay? C major to an A minor, to a D minor, to a G7. And if we were walking around that, if we were playing a walking bass line like around that, we could just use roots and fifths. Simple as that. Just roots and fifths, okay? Or we could use roots, thirds, and fifths. Okay. I snuck in a couple of flat nines there, but I'm sure you'll let me off. Okay, now how does that translate? We're learning these walking bass lines, right? How does that translate to playing cool bass lines? Well, I can get everything I just used there, the arpeggios, the chord tones, right? And I can use that just to play a funk bass line like this. same stuff. I'm not like, I haven't got like a sort of like a I don't know what I'm holding like this, like a switch. I'm just like, oh, now I'm going to think differently because I'm playing jazz, and then I switch that off when I'm playing funk. It's the same stuff. So by learning this stuff, it gave me the ability to play that stuff when I'm playing funk as well, right? Okay. Just a quick thing as well, when you're putting your walking bass lines together, please leave no daylight between them. No daylight between the notes. It's not this. It's not that. It's... no daylight between the notes. That's a real bugbear of everybody that plays this music. And then also not too many skips as well. Dong gong, dong dong dong. Just big fat round quarters, right? By the way, just like I was demonstrating about using walking bass lines and transitioning into funk, same thing with soloing. It's the same information. I'm not using different information, okay? All of that stuff that I played, there was a, yeah. Like if I wasn't wanting to play a solo around that, right? I'm going to go... It's the same stuff. I'm just... Same information. It's not like a new, I'm accessing new information. It's the same stuff, which is why this stuff is so incredible. Okay, so far we've had, just to remind you, we've had selecting the right tone. We've had learning chord theory and the numbers system. We've had learning walking bass lines. By the way, just as I said earlier, if you do want to check out the program that we've just launched called SBL Jazz Lab, and again, just a fair warning to you, this isn't like an online do-it-yourself course. It's like a proper college program, 6 months long, where you're going to get paired with a coach. You're going to get feedback. They're going to be sending you feedback. You're going to be sending them stuff. There's also like live classes involved, the whole thing. If you want to check it out, it's open for enrollment right now, but we've only got 70. I think that we've got 79. It says 79 on the page, but I think it's actually 70 odd. It's less. So if you want to check it out, it is SBLJazzLab.com. SBLJazzLab.com. And you'll find it there. Now, on we go. This is next one. Well, I've touched on this one, right? So the next essential is that you've got to learn how to solo. And my tip would be to just follow on from my earlier point, is to start with chord tones, even to the point where you're doing a chord tone only solo, right? So it's so easy to go down and learn all of the scales. I'm going to learn all the scales and all the modes, and I'm so many, Locrian this and myxomatosis that and fallopian flat 9 or whatever you want to call it, right? So there's a lot of scales to learn and they're all cool. But if we don't know our chord tones before that, our arpeggios, we're missing out on the bigger picture, okay? So when you're starting out on soloing, if you've been working on your walking bass lines, you could be going around a cool standard like Autumn Leaves, and I'll get on to some cool standards that you can consider learning as well if you guys are up for it. But when you start out, it's really cool just to start on a chord tone only solo. So first of all, you got to know where the chord tones are, and for like Autumn Leaves, it would be, I'd start up here, for instance, if I was working with you. arpeggios. And then back to the top, right? Let's check this out. So they're just the chord tones, just the arpeggio. So I do something like this one. 2, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. Whatever, right? I'm just using chord tones. So really getting clear about where the chord tones are and learning how to solo with them would be the first thing to look at when you are starting out with soloing, and then you can transition into, you know, all of the other shenanigans that you might want to. And it's actually in the SBL Jazz Lab, which I mentioned earlier, sbljazzlab.com if you want to check it out. The first tune that we look at, we're doing exactly that. So we're only playing chord tones, and it's only when we get to the second tune that we would be learning that we start to implement different techniques around playing scales and stuff like that. Because like with everything, when we're learning it, it's really important to learn things in the right sequence. Otherwise, you just spend a ludicrous amount of time going down rabbit holes that there's nothing down there. You know, there's nothing down the rabbit hole. And that rabbit hole could be 2 months, 3 months. And sometimes it stresses you out and you get anxiety about it. For me, for instance, I had anxiety about the melodic minor scale for years. Okay, it was freaking me out. I didn't know how to use it. I couldn't use it and all of that, right? And I shouldn't have even been worrying about that shit. I shouldn't have been worrying about it because there was all of this other stuff that I didn't know, and I should have been focused on it, but my sequencing was messed up. So as learners, as music learners, as bass learners, it's really important that we focus on the right stuff at the right time, and that's made very aware to us. Otherwise, we just spend a load of wasted time, makes us feel frustrated, and we feel like, I'm sure if you are musicians trying to get better on the bass, I'm sure that you've experienced the old self-loathing. Give me a high five in the comments, or a yes if you felt that self-loathing musician thing that we all get. Well, me too, and not understanding what sequence to work on things, and it's a big part of it. Okay, so what have we done? Quick recap. Select the right tone. Number 2, learn chord theory in the numbers system. Number 3, learn how to play walking bass lines. Number 4, learn how to solo, starting with chord tones, people. Number 5 is learn how to keep great time. Learn how to keep great time. If I was to, rewind time, I would give myself a word in my little ear when I was younger and say, hey, you should be focusing on keeping time and putting more focus into that rather than sort of like chasing shiny objects. A great way to do that would be to get like a simple metronome. I'll give you a really cool little exercise here, right? You're learning walking bass lines, yeah? So you're learning walking bass lines, and sorry, I'm just tapping away and doing this, right? So I'm going to set the metronome to let's say 60 BPM. You set that metronome to 60 BPM. It's going to sound like this. What's it going to sound like then? Yeah, we all hear that? Right? But the metronome is on 2 and 4. Right? So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. just practicing it with like that. And then you can obviously up the speed, you can double it, you can do all kinds of tunes, but start using the metronome to work on your time. It's really, really important. And then you can do really fun stuff where you're putting the metronome at other parts of the beat. So instead of it being on the 2 and the 4, you could have it on the 1, 2, 3, 4. So the triplet of the 2 and the 4. So imagine my fingers at the metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you're playing along with that metronome. It's a really, really fantastic technique, and it gives you a real keen awareness of where you're feeling the time as well. So next up is study jazz standards. What is a jazz standard? If you don't know, it's just a jazz song. There are a group of jazz standards. If you go to a jam session, people will commonly say, hey, what standard do you want to play? If you're, getting up on the bandstand, it's really great if you've got like a collection of anywhere from like 5 to 10 standards that you know off by heart, right? So you can just be like, should we do, F blues, whatever, right? Or Stella by Starlight, or Autumn Leaves, or all the things. So I've got this little collection I've put down here. I'll actually put this in the chat for you guys, so you can just copy and paste it. Bosh, there you go, it's down there. But I'd try like Autumn Leaves is a great one to start with. Blue Bossa is a fantastic one to start with. In fact, in the SBL Jazz Lab program that I'd love for you to check out, if you want to go, let's say it's like an intensive 6-month jazz course. I'll just put the warning out there again. It's not a study yourself online course. It is online, but it's certainly not study on your own. It's sort of like much more intensive than that. So Blue Bossa is the it's the first jazz standard that we actually use. And I'll get onto the curriculum of the Jazz Lab in just a second. It's really interesting. So Blue Bossa, There'll Never Be Another You is another great jazz standard. All the Things You Are, Stella by Starlight. That one's a little trickier, but it's fun. And then a jazz blues. A jazz blues is different to a 3-chord blues as well. There's a few more chords in there, but it's just an absolute lifesaver when you get on a jam session at a jazz gig, and somebody's like, oh, what do you want to do? Like, so many people can be like, let's play jazz blues, straight no chaser, whatever, right? Straight no chaser is a jazz blues, by the way. So it's just one of those chord sequences that are just really incredible. And here's the deal as well. When you learn a few jazz standards, all of the chord sequences are used in everything else, all of the other jazz standards as well. So by learning like 3 to 5 jazz standards, when you start learning more jazz standards, you're like, oh, there's that chord sequence again. And oh, whoa, there's that chord sequence again. It's just you're just going to see these repeated chord sequences all over the place, okay? And then finally, the last one is work on your ear training. Okay, work on your ear training. What I mean by this is 2 specific things, right? Because working on ear training is a big subject. But these 2 specific things are really, really important. Chord recognition and chord movement recognition. So what do I mean by that, right? So you want to be able to hear a chord like that and be able to instantly be like, that's a major 7 chord. Or like this, it's a dominant 7 chord. You want to be able to recognize that. Or a minor 7 chord, or a diminished chord, or a minor 7 flat 5. You want to be able to recognize those chords, right? So that's the one part to this. The next part is you need to get great at hearing root movement. What I mean by that is listening to so this could be any song, right? Not just jazz. And this is my point earlier on, is that when you learn jazz, you get like this new kind of like superpower that you're going to use in all music, right? And this is one of these superpowers. When you understand, and this also ties into the numbers system, is that getting great at listening to chord movement recognition. So listening to a piece of music and listening out for, let's say, the most popular chord sequence of all time, the 2-5-1, right? Something like that, right? 2, 5, 1. This may sound like witchcraft to you at the minute, right? Or 1, 6, 2, 5, 1. When you get into this stuff, okay, and start learning it, you'll be able to listen to a band. And if I was like, oh, this is in a key of C, for instance, you will be able to tell me all of the chords that they're playing without your bass. I know that sounds like witchcraft. It's not. I see it was witchcraft when I first saw somebody doing it. I was like, how? He was sitting there with a piece of paper just writing all the chords down. The band were playing. I was like, what kind of evil is this? He just had this stuff down, right? He understood the number system really well, and he'd worked on his chord, his root movement recognition, so he could hear where the roots were moving. And you can do. I still practice this all the time. I listen to music on the radio or wherever, and I'm always listening out for the root movement. I'm like, oh, that's a 2 to a chord 3, to a 6, oh, to a flat 6. You know, and it again, it sounds like witchcraft to you right now, very possibly, but this is an incredible skill that's totally accessible to you if you go down this pathway. Now, let me just recap quickly over them, the 7 there. Hopefully you guys wrote some of this down. Sorry if I've just gone too fast. So, number 1, select the right tone. Number 2, learn chord theory in the number system. 3, learn how to play walking bass lines. You'll be doing that by learning your arpeggios and your chord tones. And again, start simple, roots and fifths, then roots, thirds and fifths. No daylight between the notes, and not too many skips as either. Then learn how to solo, get into soloing, but do it chord tones first, okay? Chord tones first. You can start with something like Autumn Leaves. It's really, really fantastic to do that. The next one, learn how to keep great time. Get that metronome on, get it. Get that metronome on 2 and 4, get comfortable with that, and then work on your ear training, specifically on your chord recognition and then chord movement recognition as well, so you can hear the root motion, okay, of those chords. So you can be like, oh, it's a 2, it's going to a 3, going to a 4, going to a 5, going to a 1, right? Really really nail that stuff down. Now, as I was saying, if you do want to go deeper, if I've lit the fire underneath you, okay, and you're like, actually, this jazz stuff isn't all about and it's a new possibility of you taking your bass playing to that next level and becoming not only like a great bass player, but also a really well-rounded musician as well. If you are interested and you want to take that next step, all you need to do is go to sbljazzlab.com, and you'll find the brand new program that we've launched. Again, it's 6 months long. It is absolutely not a study at home online course, okay? It is online, but it's not like a do-it-yourself thing. You're going to be paired with an SBL coach. We've put an incredible coaching team together for this program. It's 6 months long, as I was saying. You're going to get direct feedback. You're going to be recording yourself playing. It's going to be a lot. I wanted to call this program, I'm just going to say it out here now, I wanted to call this the SBL Jazz Intensive, right? But the rest of the team, well, not all of the team, but most of the team said, Scott, it just sounds so intense. It sounds too intense. And I was like, I like intense. And they were like, it's too intense. We're going to call it SBL Jazz Lab. So there you go. But I'm just leaking it. I'm leaking it out there now that I wanted to call this the SBL Jazz Intensive, because it is, it's going to be a completely new experience for you, because it's much more like a real college class, where you're going to be, doing the stuff and you're going to be kept accountable. And it's, I'm really proud of proud of it, but I also want to tell you how the curriculum works, because it's the methodology of the curriculum is really important. All of these things we've been talking about today, walking bass lines, soloing, yada, 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 all of these things. Going back to what I was talking about sequencing, it's really important that not only you work on the right stuff at the right time and introduce the right things at the right time, and know that I reference self-loathing when you don't do that. Shout out to everybody that gave me a high five in the comments, right? But it's also really important that you work on the right tunes at the right time. So how the SBL Jazz Lab works is we've got these 3 jazz standards that you're going to be studying over the next 6 months, okay? So 3 jazz standards. And we spend all of the first set, we basically work on chord, all of these things that I'm talking about right now, right? So learning the chord theory, learning how to play walking bass lines, learning how to solo, learning how to actually play the chords on the instrument. We do that we take one jazz standard and we run through all of those things. So for 2 weeks, we're just going to be focusing on the number system, how all of that works, and also how to actually play these chords on the bass, right? Because you need to be able to play the chords on the bass to hear them, right? How to play the chords. Then we're going to be learning the melodies and how to play the melodies. Then we're going to be learning how to play the walking bass lines. Then we're going to be learning on how to solo. Then we're going to be learning how the entire thing works together, and we're going to do a performance and the whole thing, right? But that's just one tune, one jazz standard. Then we get that framework and we get the whole, and then we do it on a whole new jazz standard. Same thing. Chord sequencing, understanding the chords, playing walking bass lines, soloing, improvisation, like the whole thing. We do that. And then we do it again on another jazz standard. So what you're doing here is we're learning these jazz standards in a completely new way, which is in a really deep way, but also in a way that's practical and makes you, it's not like learning like an exercise, a random exercise that you don't know where to plug it in. This is like focusing on learning jazz in a completely new and deep and much deeper way, and give it like what we use in the jazz standards that we use within the program become the platform that we learn the materials and the exercises on, if that makes sense, right? So instead of just learning random exercises, we take the standard, and the standard becomes the frame or the platform that we plug all of the exercises into. And then we come out of that standard and we've learned freaking that thing so well that we could do that thing in our sleep. Then we get all of those exercises and we get a new jazz standard and do the same thing. So it's a cool way of doing it. It's a cool way of doing it, and I'm really pumped to get it out so you guys can check it out. Now again, if you do want to check it out, it's much more like a college class. SBLJazzLab.com. We have 79 spots on the page available. I think it's less than that now because that was updated yesterday. I would love for you to check it out. And also, just to put it out there, all of the risk is on us. You can try this thing for 60 days risk-free. You can do the first 2 months, all of the paired with your coach, all of the whole thing, right, for 2 months. And if it doesn't rock your world, you can just ask for a full refund. We have removed literally all of the risk and put it on us. So yes, you could completely rip us off if you wanted to. Please don't. Please don't. But if you did want to, you could. Anyway, thanks so much for hanging out today. It's been wicked. I'm going to do another live stream next week, so keep a lookout for that, where I'm going to be jumping into questions about jazz. I wanted to take some questions today, but there's really been no time to do that. Like Gustavo's got like flat wounds or round wounds. Both will work actually, Gustavo. But I'm going to do a completely free live stream next week as well here on YouTube, where I'm going to be jumping into your Q&A. Your questions, and I'll be doing the answers. Your Q's and I'll do the A's. Okay, but jumping in next week, and if you've got also any questions about the program, there you can ask me them as well. So wicked. That's it for now. Oh, massive thanks to Gav behind the camera here, looking beautiful. He's got his bald head and he's got his glasses, and it's my mission in life to employ as many bald men with glasses, as many bald men that look like me as possible. Look, you see, Ian Martin Allison, right? You see the pattern, I'm being outed. Anyway, guys, thanks so much. Again, if you want to check out that program, just go to sbljazzlab.com, and maybe I'll see you on the inside. Take it easy, and I'll see you in a bit. Bye.